To install database, we have to go into the site. So you can go to the download. From here, you can click on MySQL download installer for Windows, and from here you can download this version. Install it, right? So I have just downloaded it here. I'll double click on it, and we have few steps involved while installing the MySQL. All right. So here we are now. It is saying install all product related to MySQL development purpose. That means we have here all the tools, that is MySQL Server, MySQL Cell, MySQL Router, MySQL Workbench, Visual Studio Connector, and you can see all the things it is adding. So if I will select this one, install only MySQL Server, this type should be used if you want to deploy a MySQL, but not developing MySQL application. And if I will go for custom, then we can choose. So I'm right now selecting custom, click next, and from here I can choose server. So first I have selected the MySQL that I want to install, and then these things I will not install, except I'll install the MySQL cell. And from here I can install connected. So maybe I can JDBC or ODBC, JDBC, and what is this J connector? So usually we can install the JDBC connector. So 86 and then 64. So let's install 64-bit and then this connector. Rest other things are fine. I will not install it. So I need only these 5 things here, and then we will click next. So these all things will install one by one. So let's click execute. Right now we have to wait. It is saying to install this one. Just click and install. All right. Now this thing is done. Let's click next. And here now it will be installed. So click execute to install. So although in real project you will not have to install it manually, but here we should also learn how we can do that. So download it and click next, and then you have to choose custom. Maybe you can install the full version also, but since I don't need all the things, that's why I have unchecked it. You can select first option and click next. So only the settings that we need is here in MySQL Server that I will get after this one. Once it will be installed, then we will get. Okay, I think this is done. Now click next. And here we have, you can see the ready to configure. This part we can configure. So now once you will see this part, it is saying that port number is 3306, right? The same port number we are using here, 3306. And then it is saying that rest others are fine. We need to just configure the username password. First thing here is port number that we need to remember. 3306 is the default port for MySQL. Click next. Here it is saying use a strong password, right? Legacy method. Using 5x legacy method, you should only be considered the following case. What it is saying? If it is a connected driver, if application is not cannot update it, enable connected driver. Let it be first one is selected. Click next. Here we have to give the root user ID password. Root password. So root password, I'll simply put root, right? And password is also I am putting root. So it will be easy to remember. Although it is saying weak, but and then it is saying create MySQL user account for your users and application. Assign. So for now, I am not. If you want your database to be used by some other person, then you can add role and users here. Just add root password and click next, and this is fine, let it be. Click next and we can execute. In this step we should not get any error. This is the main step. So if we will get any error, then we have to look it again, especially on, yeah, you can say especially on a starting server. So now everything is done, right? I'll just click finish and then click next, and everything is done. Just a start of my shell will do that. Open, and here I'll search MySQL client, right? Even MySQL shell you don't need to select. We need here MySQL command line, right? MySQL command line. Open it, and here it will ask you to enter the password. So remember, by default what we added is root. So I'll add here root as a password and click enter. So everything is done. We are now able to connect to database. What we have to write first command is to show databases, comma, semicolon, and enter. Here if you will see, by default it is doing, so this is the command to list all the database that is available in this MySQL database, right? So what is available here? By default, once we installed, it is giving us information, data schema, MySQL performance, and this thing. So suppose if I want to use the MySQL, right? This is the existing database. So I have to use MySQL. You should note down these commands. These commands are very important. Now we are into this MySQL database. We have total 4. Now we moved into MySQL, and then you can write here show tables. It will show all the tables that is already exist in that database. So these all are the tables. So suppose if I will write here users, and I wanted to see what is inside user, so I have to write select a string from user and then click enter. Now you can see these all informations are available in user table, right? That is host, user, these all information you can see. Similarly, we have to create our own database. So as of now, it is, you can see it is going into the DB database. Here you have to write DB. So what I will do, we are working on a student project, right? So I can say a student, student database. So I want to create a student database. So let's go here and create a student database. So as of now, if we will see show database. So we have only 4 database, right? What we can do, we can create our own database. So for that, you have to write a command that is create database and then put here name. I just want to put a student database, right? Create database, and then I want to put a student database. So click enter. It is saying query executed. Let's click again show database, and here you can see now we have a student database is coming. But in this database, as of now, we don't have any tables. So if I will do show tables, it will not work. Okay, it is still going into the other database, right? Because we have made use. It is still going into the MySQL table, MySQL database. So remember command, whenever you want to perform show tables or anything you wanted to perform, before that you have to switch to the database. So I can say use a student database. We have all the database. I want to go into this database, right? So I have to write command use database. Now if you will perform show tables, then it will show all the tables. But as of now, we have not added any tables. That's why it is saying empty set, because we have not added any table in a student database. So next thing is, now we have created here a student database. We have our username and password is also root for the database. And then here we have a table which is called insert into a student. Let's say I'll say a student form. Okay. This is the table name that I want to create. And here we have ID, name and number. But what all things we are taking from the form is a student name. So let it be ID, and then here we have a student name. So I can say student underscore name, and then we have password. So I'll put it here, a student password, and then I'll put it country, right? So I need basically these 4 fields. ID also I'll put in a small letter, ID is student name. So to enter this thing, right, we don't need to provide here ID, right? ID will be auto generated, I guess. So ID we will not pass. I'll show you that. We need to pass only a student name. So a student name is that we are getting from here as name. So we have to pass something as name, and then plus, and we'll have to start it again in this format, plus comma plus. So this is the format that you have to use. So actual value we need to put it here. So suppose if I don't have this one, right, then I have to mark it in something in double quote, right? So we have actually 2 ways to write program. One, I can use a statement. I'll explain that. Another one is prepared statement. So prepared statement is better, but for now, okay, for now let's add dummy data, right? Then we will change it. Sorry, a student name, then a student password. So I can say, let's say a student name, let's say this one, password is JDBC123, and then country I am adding it India. These 3 values I will try to insert it, right? Once it will be done, then I should get here some output. So I'll write this one here, data dot println, sorry, println, and if not, then I will get this one. It will show in UI. So what we need to do next is we have to create a table, right? So to create table, we have to go here in MySQL client, and here I have to write command to create table. Right? So as of now, if we will see, we have a command. First command is to show all database, right? We have to write command show databases, right? Then we have next command is to go into database. We have to write use, and then I'll say in our case we have written a student database. Now to list all tables, we have to write show tables command, and then in fourth one to show all data inside table, right? What we have to write, select a string from table name, right? This command you have to write. So as of now, if you will see show tables, right, we don't have any data, we don't have any table. So this one will not work. Now next thing is to create table, right? Next thing is to create table, right? We have to write command that I'm going to write here. Let's see whether it will work or not. So we have a create command, create, similar to create database, right? Okay, let me write here also to show all tables, right? To show all database we can use, to go inside this we can use, but before that I have to write here to create new database, right? We have to write command create database and then a student database. This is the command that we can use to create new database, and then to go into that we have to use this one. This will be our third command, fourth, fifth, and then I'll go on the sixth command. Show database, create database, and then go into database, that is use database, show all tables, and print the data from the table. Now here I'm going to write command to create table. So we have to write create table, 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 and then I'll write here a student underscore form. The same table that we have here, a student underscore form. And in this table, we have to write student underscore form. It will start this, enter. Now I'll write ID. Yes, so first will be ID and it will be integer type. So I have to mention the size as well. So let's say any size you can mention. So 5, and it should be not null. Not null, and auto increment. Auto increment. INCRE increment. Okay, so this will be our first field. Now second field will be a student name, right? So I'll write here a student underscore name. It should exactly match with this one, a student name, then a student password. So I'll write a student name and it is of varchar. Let's say I'll say 100. This is the size, and then I'll say this should also be not null, right? I mean, if you will put null value, then it will not work. Then second one will be a student password, right? And I can put it in varchar also for this one, varchar 100. And then it's up to you want to make it null or not null. This is up to you, right? So ideally password should also be not null. So I'll write here not null. And then the next field is country, right? So I'll say student or simply country varchar, let's say 50, and I can say this could be null, right? So I have given all the things. Now one thing is left is we have to create a primary key. So I'll say primary, primary key, primary underscore key or key. Primary key, I'm just adding ID. So I want to make this ID as primary key. And once this is done, then we can close this braces and then we'll click add comma, semicolon. If everything is okay, right, then we should get output, else we have to rewrite this thing. Perfect. So now you can see it is saying okay, that means table is created. Let me just copy this code. I think copy and paste here. Yeah. So this line you have to, these things you have to write, right, to create a table. Now here let's understand this again, what actually I'm doing. So to create table, we have to write a command create table, and then you can write table name. Inside it, you can write the field name, ID, name, password, country, and then you have to specify whether it should be null or not null. I mean, this field can accept null data or not. So I am saying here the ID should not accept null data. A student name should not accept null data. Password should not accept null data. That means we should always give data to these three fields. And here I am saying auto increment. That means this will be automatically. One data will be inserted. It will 1, then 2, 3, 4. It will automatically increase. And that's why from here I'm not adding a student ID. You can see I have used only a student name, password, and country, because ID will be auto generated. And then I am making it primary key of the ID. So if I will write now show tables, then you will see one table, that is a student form. And to print the data, we have to write select a string from student underscore form. Right now you can see it is empty because we don't have any data here. Let's execute our code, right? And then we will see whether this data is inserting there or not. Save it. We are not taking front end data, but this is a hard coded one. So I have saved it, and then we'll go here again. Okay, so we have to change. We have already changed it here. Let's run it, and then we'll see if it is working or not. So our code is running on which port? Okay, maybe let's stop it. Then it will automatically start. Save, run on server. Yeah, so we have this form. So for now, I am just putting any value since it is not selecting there. And once I will click submit, right, it will reach to this one, and then after that it will go into the database. So let's click submit. It is saying successfully inserted. That means our code, this one, executed successfully. You can see successfully inserted. Now if I will come to table and then run it again, you can see ID is 1. This ID is auto generated. We have not given this ID here. It is auto generated, right? So now it is saying ID is 1 and the name is a student name ABC, and then here we have given the country name, right? Only thing we need to change is the dynamic form. Whatever data we will put from the front end, it should insert in database. So to do that, let me just break this statement. And here we can see that we are already getting these three values: S name, password, and country. So we have to just write it here. So I'll say S name. It will not work right now. And then I'm saying here password, S password, and then country. So if I will run now, this exact same value will be inserted. So what I have to do, I will write it in double quote. And then plus, it's again double quote, and inside this double quote plus, and then again plus and double quote, and put this comma inside double quote, sorry, plus country, and then again we have plus and then double quote. Now this value, whatever thing we will get, is set into this, but still we have a problem that we are not adding the single quote. So we have to write here single quote, and after this also we will add one single quote. You might get confused here at this point, but this is how you need to write. If I will save it now, right? So and then if I will run it again, we get some error. What is that? Web application is stopped. Okay, maybe we can stop it and then run it again. And at this time, we will try to see whether it is taking the data from front end or not. Right. So now let's try to enter some detail. So I can say here, let's say Ram, and password is Ram at 123. And let's select the country US and click save. It is saying successfully inserted. Let's go here and run it again. Now you can see the second data is inserted, RAM US 123, right? So this happens because we have written our code in JDBC. But this approach is purely monolithic approach. Monolithic approach. Because we are writing this code, right? We are writing this code to we are hard coding, I mean code inside this servlet. Okay, so this line is basically what we are doing here is we are using right now a statement. So we have another thing that is called prepared statement. So inside prepared statement also the same thing, just we write in different way, right? So but the insert part will be the same, and whatever thing right now we are doing here, right? What you can do, you can write more code here to fetch the data. So we have this statement, you can write next to fetch data, and then that data should show in the front end here. It should list all the records. So once we are inserted, then after insert and successful and unsuccessful part is done, then what you can do, you can again write a command, something like stmp dot execute. So if you will see this execute command, right? Or not only execute, but we have query, right? So execute query. If you will perform this execute query, it will return all the data. So here I'll say select a string from student underscore form. Whatever table name we have, we can provide here. And then this particular thing will return result set rs, let's say, and then you can write your next code to get the data from the result set. So here now you'll say rs dot, let me see, rs dot next. So rs dot next will um, return false if cursor is in the last row. So basically while we have to use while command, while rs dot next, and then inside this we can write something, a string name equal to as rs dot get a string. Yeah, get a string. And so first one is integer, right? If you remember, so we have to write get int, and then we'll write here column index. So it will be, our first one is id. So I'll say int id equal to this, then a string name equal to rs dot get a string one. I think column starts column index. Let's see. Then here I have a string password, or pass equal to rs dot get a string. I'll say 2, and then a string country equal to rs dot get a string, and then I'll say country. Now only thing I need to see is first column is 1. Okay, so it is saying first column is 1, so I have to put it 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and then 4. So all the data we get already here. Just what we can do, we can print it to the UI. So I'll write here get println, and here I'll say I'll just print id plus slash t will work. Let's see. And then I'll say name plus slash t plus pass plus slash t, and then I'll say country, comma. So every time it will run, and then it will fetch the details, and here it will print on the UI. Save it, and then we can see whether it is working or not. So we'll go here, go back, and then refresh this page. Let's add here new details. So I'll say here Rohit, and then ABC 1 2 3, or any value. Then I can say UK, submit. Now if you will see, it is saying record inserted, and then we have here 1 Chandan Kumar ABC India, then 2 this 3 this, right? All data is printed here actually, but ideally what we should do, we should use here table, right? Instead of directly printing here, we should use table to show all the details. So how we can do that? We have to write the code in table format, and then it will display. Are you able to get these all things? Do you have any question? Hey, Ramya, any question? Are you able to get this or not?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
No
So
question.
little complex, but the thing is, this is how you have to deal, right? You have to fetch data, you have to show data. These all things you have to do. And yeah, so if you have any question, any doubt at any place, right, just let me know, interrupt me. So now instead of printing this directly, what I'll do, I will ideally I should create this one object, and then I should do, but that's fine. So here I will start with one table, and then table started, and inside this table, let me just copy paste this. One table started, and in each row, so once it will run, we will have one row, right? Table, then tr. So we have one tr started, and here I can say tr close. Tr close. Inside tr, we have to add td, right? And that td will be, let me just paste. So first td, where we will add table data, right? Td is plus id, and then I will close my td here. So you will see everything in the form of table. So now we have tr, and then in this td we have one column, that is id. Then let's paste it again, and then I'll say this is name, then I'll say this is pass, and here I'll say country. These fields I have added here, and then after once it will be done, then we have to close the table also. So I will close the table here, save it. And if you want, you can specify border equal to 1. Let's say you want to give the data. Now let's try to run it. Web application already stopped. Okay, I think this is fine. Let's go here and run it again. We'll click back, refresh it. Now I can say ABC 123 India, submit. You can see now we are getting data in the form of table. So what it is, we have this data, right? If you want, you can specify header also. So to specify header, you have to use the same thing that we are using here. Copy all the things. It's up to you how you can, how much you can do things. So let's say instead of TD, I write TH, and then I'll say this one is also TH, table heading, TH. Just you have to little more focus on HTML part. I'll say first one is ID, second one is a student name, and then here we can write student password, although password should be encrypted, but for now we can simply write it country. Save it, and then if you will see the output, let's go back, refresh, and let's add here XYG, and here I can say 123, and then I'll say US. Save it. So if you will see now, it is in proper format: ID, a student name, password, country, and then you will see 123, and each and every detail is added here. And if you will see this ID, right, ID is auto incremented. If you will go here and run it again, you will see the same record is populating here in table also, and same record we are seeing in this UI also, right? So this is how we work with JDBC, and then I mean how we connect HTML, then servlet, JSP, database all together. Now it's up to you. You can add CSS to beautify your application, right? So to add CSS, for example, here I have written only successfully inserted. So let's say if I will say here font color equal to green. Okay, so I need to just write in maybe single quote color equal to green, and then here I'll close the font, and then maybe I'll add one more BR break statement. Now it will show you in the green format. Yeah, it is done. Let's go, and we can add here one back button also. Refresh it, and then I can say, right, some data, save it. So if you will see now, it is showing in the green format, right? And if you will go and check the page source code, you will see all in HTML form only. You can see pure HTML. I have added font equal to green, successfully inserted, the same thing you are seeing here. Right? Do you have any question?
So we need to do one in JDBC and one in HTML, right? We need to write two formats, right?
Can you come again?
the HTML. Can you
Uh-huh.
please come back here?
Yes.
The HTML
Okay.
format.
All right. HTML format. Yes. Yeah. This.
Yeah, this one. So we need to
Right.
create this one, and we need to
Right. This
create
is
this
just
one.
for demo. Yeah. This is just for demo that I explained how you can write your program. Right. So anything that you can write, right, you can perform. First, you have to. I would suggest, right. So after this Java session, also, you should little bit learn about the HTML part, right? HTML. Maybe you can open any HTML.com or any website you can open and just see how you can, add HTML, CSS, these basic things that you can see. For example, if you want image, you can do this thing, right? So you can try that thing and see how you can use it. So we have here title, meta, what all these tags will do. So suppose here I have you, if I will use H1, right? So suppose if I will use here H1, then what will happen? It will show in bold one, right? And I am just closing here. Anywhere I can close H1. So now it will be heading, right? So heading will be in capital one. I have just added H1. So in output, you will see that this will be bold, similar to this one. It will show here successfully inserted and so. So HTML, if you will see, then you will automatically, get help from here. You can see successfully inserted, right? So these things you can do. The basic idea is how you can insert data, how you can fetch data. So to insert data, you have to use SMT, execute update, and then here to fetch data, you have to use execute query to fetch data. And here you can write SQL command, which will fetch data and will show here, right? And suppose if you want to display data, for example, here if I select a string from a student form, it is displaying. But let's say I want to sort the output based on the student country, right? So what I can do, select a string from a student form, order by country, ASC. I guess this will work. Ascending order by country, ascending order. No, order by. You have an error, country, ASC. No, order, country. Oh, country spelling is, I guess, not correct. Yes. So let's use the first command, order by country, COUNTRY, country ASC. Yeah. So whatever I written the first time, that is the correct one. Order by. So here order by country ASC. So now if you will see the output, it is showing based on the country. So country code in ascending order. If I will write DESC, then it will show in descending order. Similarly, if I want to perform on name, then I'll write here STUD, student underscore name, right? Now all output you will see in the descending order of the student, XYZ, then R, then M, then A. Now, same command you can copy and paste it here, right? Select a string, this one. You will get output in that order only. So you have to just see what code you will write and then accordingly it will print. Okay. So this is all that I wanted to explain from the J2EE part.